let's introduce our next speakers. I had to giggle a little when I saw the title. I have a 7.5-year-old son. He watches YouTube all the time. He has his famous YouTubers that he watches. And so whenever we were in planning meetings with the rest of the DevOps teams, they would hear these YouTubers shout from his tablet. Yeah, that was fun. You're not telling me how to deal with those kind of influencers, but other kind of influencers. So that's, well, I mean, probably different kind of influencers. So joining us on the stage are not one, not two, but three speakers, because, you know, go big or go home. One of them is Anneke Keller, who is the CTO at Wacomp and a member of the advisory board for the WWF. Then we have Koen, raise your hand. Who is responsible for the teams that work on store and platform technology at Wacomp. And last but not least, Kees Bakker, who is passionate about programming, effectiveness, and the beauty of a well-structured architecture. Also, you run a blog for 10 years, which I think is a massive milestone and deserves a round of applause. And then that's your cue to start talking.
I'll start talking, yeah, that's good. Okay, hello, it's nice to be here. It's great to be, back in Eindhoven. How many of you know Wacomp? That's good. Okay, second question, how many of you shop at Wacomp? I think we have some work to do, guys, yeah. But it's not nothing. It's pretty good. Well, luckily we sometimes are more popular than at this moment in the room. So today we're going to talk about how to handle a successful campaign. That's what we're going to talk about. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to give a very practical talk. So just to make sure that you learn from them and that whatever we've done, good or wrong, well, you don't at least have to do the wrong thing again. So that's basically the goal of this talk. We are an online department store. We focus on fashion and living. We're pretty big in the Netherlands, regardless of the answers of the room. But we're still one of the biggest e-commerce shops in the Netherlands. And there are two cool things that I'd like to mention here, just that are not related to tech, or the rest my colleagues will do. But we do have an automated warehouse, which is very nice, because if a lot of warehouses, the products are lined up in, oh, that doesn't work, lined up in rows. And then the picker needs to walk around and gather all the stuff. But in Wacomp, that's different. The picker, the guy that, or girl that packs the box, is on one place, and with all kind of rollers and robots and lifts, the products come to you. And this way, we can actually do, with 28 people, 50,000 boxes a day. So that's, thank you. It's a pretty cool thing. I can't invite you all for that, I'm sorry. And well, we have some big numbers there, just to give you a little bit of an idea on, you know, the thing we're dealing with on a daily basis. We also do have a creative hub that creates, in a big photo studio, our visuals, and that's why the shop looks nice, and you feel like when you join, or when you come to Wacomp, when you go to the website, you feel like you're actually in a sort of a store. Then, if you can go to the next slide, yeah, great. Then there is also a technical department, and we call that the Wacomp Tech Hub, and that's actually the place where the innovation happens. And we have 160 people. We are in a new office in Zwolle. We're very proud of our office, but that was built before. No, that's not true. It is also built during Corona times, but we do work a lot from home. So we are not always at the office. And we do have one goal. We want to be the smartest tech team in the Netherlands. So if that's going to be successful, I'll let you judge that and give it over to Kees.
Yeah, thank you, Anneke. Nice thing about that warehouse, though, right? They told me, I mean, when you join Wacomp, they always show you the warehouse, because we are really fond of that warehouse. And then they have this huge cage in there, and they say, okay, this is automated, and you cannot go in there. And we are like, why can't we go in there? Because if you go in there, you die. And then you get a story that one person actually died. And this is, I don't believe that is true, but hopefully you can find out if that's the case. So we keep out of the cage. It is a story, I think so. But they are really fond on telling people that. Today we're going to talk about influencers, not the YouTube influencers. Well, we're going to talk about Miljuska. Who knows Miljuska here? Yeah, and that's the problem. A lot of tech people do not know who she is. So basically, she is all about body positivity, which helps me as well. But fashion is kind of hard. I mean, do you have nice dresses that are a little bit bigger? You don't have a lot of choice there. So we thought, hey, let's partner up with Miljushka. She does the cooking and we together design the dresses, and let's make a campaign out of this. So that is what we did. Today we're going to talk to you about that campaign, how we ran it from a platform website perspective. You're going to, spoiler alert, it didn't go that well. Koen is going to talk about our new platform on how we think that we can do those types of campaigns way better. And we're going to talk about an experiment with Keller that we did and that we want to propose. So, Miljushka by Waykamp. First of all, if you have a great lounge, pick a great date. I mean, November 13th, it's a Friday, what can go wrong? Second, if you want to do something great, you need to have a limited edition of anything, because if it's a limited edition, everybody wants it. Next, do an affordable price. That helps with the people. And do some big exposure. I mean, I'm not that into the Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that, but oh boy, Miljushka is. And then we did some email campaigns and some app pushes, and when I saw the numbers, over 1 million people saw the message of, hey, we're going to launch Friday the 13th. Miljushka went on national television, RTL 4 at RTL Boulevard. You all watch it with her new dress. 10 o'clock, be there or be square. What can go wrong? Cool. So, November 13th, 10 o'clock, launch time. Oh no! We don't have a website anymore. No! So what happened? We, of course, got a call. Guys, we don't have a website. We have a very big campaign going on. Website needs to go back online. Please look at your metrics. We spin up Grafana and we're like, where's all the traffic coming from, guys? Who's hitting our homepage? Because our homepage was dying. Our campaign pages were dying. And even our workhorse, our product overview pages were dying. So we were like, what is going on? And we scaled up. And once we scaled up, we were able to handle the load. So we were kind of, what happened, people? Well, what happened? If you look at the charts, on a normal Friday, we have like 0.6 million visits. Is this visits? Requests? I don't know. 0.6 million. And then all of a sudden we had 1.8 million. And of course nobody told tech about it. Because we were just, being, let's commit. Let's go to production. Woohoo! Okay. So what then happens? People think, oh wow, a great launch. Even the Waykamp website went offline. So some platformers were already like, we should do this more often. So in the next launch, we do it ourselves. And then we said, that's not what we want, guys. We want it to be a great platform. So we said to each other, no problem. We have another launch. This launch is going to be good. Scaling solved the problem. We will inform all the tech teams. There is a huge campaign. Miljushka is huge. Make sure you are scaled out. Anneke just came in from Jumbo, and she was sitting there with us, and she said, guys, we need to scale to the maximum. And we were like, we don't know what the maximum is. I mean, do you actually want us to succeed, or do you want our databases to die? We want the maximum. So one of our teams actually tried to do, listening to our CTO, and tried to scale our product overview workhorse to 2,000 containers, because we probably could be, right? And they went home because it took a long time. So when I was logging in at night, I was like, hey, why is this service not really deploying, and why is everything oh no. So we called in our platform teams and the other team, and they said, yeah, but we needed to scale to maximum. I was like, 2,000, it might not be your max. So, okay, we were good. They scaled back. Everything was okay. We had some headroom. So we were ready. Okay. March 19th, second launch, summer dresses, again, Instagram, email, app pushes, RTL Boulevard. And this time the tech team was in a call and we were scaled out. And I said to her, we have never been scaled out this much. Nothing can go wrong. And I was right, because at 10 o'clock we still had a website. The thing is, I was right for 3 minutes. Yeah. I also was happy that I was right for 3 minutes, but you forgot that you're right. Yeah. So, back into problem-solving mode. Of course, we got the stuff again, and we looked at our metrics. Okay, we're scaled out to max. What the heck happened? And then we saw we had a peak of 71% above the previous launch. So we were even more successful. And we said, but Black Friday was also a big peak. Yeah, but it's just 73% more than the Black Friday. And then we said to each other, we cannot do this anymore. I mean, we're doing campaigns that we are DDoSing ourselves. Should we actually do that? Fix mode. Get all of the engineers in the room, war room. Guys, we have a problem. We need to support this campaign. There will be more dresses. What do we do? Well, the first thing we discovered is that load prediction is hard. It is so super hard. We ask our analytics department, okay, what are we going to do? And then our marketing department says, we know we're going to have X amount of app pushes and stuff like that, so that means this many visitors. And we're like, no, we don't need visitors from you, we need requests per minute. And they were like, what are you talking about? So we need to extrapolate, but because we deploy stuff, we have a microservices platform like 20 times a day, our application is not the same as a week ago, it's very different from a month ago. I mean, that's what you guys want, right? Fast deployments. That means it's less predictable. So we need to determine the scaling factor I get from our analytics and marketing team, cross-correlate that with a nice Thursday, I guess, that it is busy. And then come up with, to our developers, like, okay, we want you to go 2.5 of that thing, right? Okay, that's hard. Then we also said, okay, but I think we are our own worst enemy. I think we do way too many requests. When he opened up the logging on our Cloudflare endpoints, I saw all these nice things like app.wcam.nl/logs. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Why are we logging on our app endpoints when we're having a campaign? Yeah, well, we had a problem and we tried to. Okay, let's not do that. So we needed to detect what our bottlenecks actually were. The way we did that was ask our teams to build a lot of load tests and just go at it from 5 in the morning, no, 4:30, until 7 o'clock. We had permission of the board to actually destroy our website in the morning and see when does it break, why does it break, where does it break, to find out where the bottlenecks are. And our learnings were, you need to cache way more, and Node.js needs some memory when it wants to do something and it is backed up. We, of course, try to be cost efficient because everything we pay to AWS, we need to sell dresses for. But hey, memory is not such a thing you want to skimp on, especially when you're on Node.js. And then we came to the real kicker, because we don't have an auto-scaling platform. If I want to do anything with scaling, I need to ask to all the good development teams, guys, please make sure your scaling is okay. And then they go into their Mesos and Marathon setup and they say, okay, I want this many containers and this many CPUs and this many memories. And that doesn't scale very well. So we need something new. Well, the industry, you all heard it, is moving towards Kubernetes, so let's check if it's a thing. So, what did we learn? Well, we can handle a lot of traffic, but peak traffic is a problem. And it is really hard to handle it in a cost-efficient manner. And so that's why we asked the team of Koen, guys, you are the platform, come up with something great. And that's what Koen is going to explain.
probably important to tell as well is that scaling out, especially in the way that Kees just described, is very costly. And as Kees said, we need to sell many dresses for that to make that still cost efficient for us. But it also requires a lot of manual action. So we need to know in advance when is a campaign going to be due. And our marketeers ask us, can we do a timed launch? Can we ask Miljuska to say on her Instagrams, we are going to launch, or I'm going to launch, that's what she says, new dresses by 10 a.m. in the morning, for example. And for now, we've told our marketing department that they cannot do that anymore. She can tell, I'm going to launch new dresses on Thursday, but she cannot tell they're going to launch by that and that time. Or, I have not enough, so please be there in time to get yours, because that is actually exactly the thing that is causing our website to break. So we needed to build a new architecture, new platform that can handle this kind of load. And well, as Kees said, Kubernetes is the way to go in the industry and also the way to go for us. We need to support many things that already are part of the Wacomp infrastructure. So the things that we required at least to support our microsites, microservices obviously. We run everything in Docker containers. We have a stateless architecture, so we decouple all the data using Kafka, RDS data stores. We use Elasticsearch, Prometheus, and we have CDN and a web application firewall by Cloudflare. This new cloud platform, it was very important for us that it could scale automatically. Not only automatically up, but also automatically down. Because now the thing that we do is when we see a new launch coming, we scale our platform out and then forget to scale it back down. And probably forget it for days or maybe even weeks, which is costing us a lot of money as well. So it should automatically scale. It should scale out very rapidly on load. It should scale in with low traffic at night, obviously. It should be more cost effective than what we have been doing thus far. Our solution is Kubernetes, EKS in AWS, using the cluster autoscaler and the horizontal pod autoscaler. What we found using the cluster autoscaler is that to get a node ready, it takes approximately 5 to 6 minutes for a node to spin up. And that's simply, if you look at the launch that Kees was just describing, 5 to 6 minutes is way too slow to be able to handle this kind of peak traffic. And the node selection was also a downside for us. We needed to predefine all of the nodes, all of the instance types that we would like to use from AWS. And since we'd like to use all kinds of nodes and all kinds of instance types, and also would like to use pod instances, this was not a very workable method for us. So we found, one of the guys of our team found that we could work with Carpenter. Carpenter is also open source software provided by AWS. And we found that a node could be ready in 60 to 90 seconds using Carpenter. And AWS is even saying that they could probably do it in 15 seconds. So that is way, way, way better than the cluster autoscaler that we currently use from Kubernetes. Also, using Carpenter, we can have an automatic node selection. It determines what nodes and what instance types do best fit the load that is coming to us. It can then not only select the best instance types, but it can also select spot instances, which is obviously very cost effective as well. Now that's for, then in Carpenter that's the node scaling part, but we needed pod scaling as well. What our developers found is that by using the horizontal pod autoscaler, we could determine what kind of CPU usage and RAM usage would be the upper limit when we wanted to scale farther out. But our developers asked, can we have more metrics? Can we use more metrics to determine how we can scale farther up in case more traffic hits our website? We found that Keller could provide this solution for us. We see that while we use Prometheus, we can run queries on Prometheus and get more data such as visitors, requests, etc., that we can also use to scale out our pods further. There are 53 scalers or even 60, over 60 scalers I think currently being provided by Keller on the Kafka, Azure products, AWS products, and there are many that we can use to support our developers in their scaling of pods. What we do for that is that we want to put the developer in the driver's seat. We want to give the developer total control because our platform team only supports and provides our platform. After the platform is provided, it's up to the developer to make sure that we have enough capacity to endure such loads that we get from Mollusca. We use Argo CD with application sets, and with these application sets, I don't know if you can read it in the sheets that you are. You can define, for example, what your replica count minimally and maximally should be. For smaller projects, singleton projects, or for dev environments, we only have one minimal instance and one max as well. But for bigger projects, and especially when we run into these kind of Mollusca projects, we can determine that our services should be able to scale up further as well. Obviously, we do set limits, because if we don't, well, we get into those 2,000 containers that Kees was talking about. But we can use simple parameters or Prometheus queries to make sure that we scale out far enough, but not too far. Well, how did that work? Kees did an experiment with Keller, and he will tell you about that.
Yeah, so the team of Koen thought, let's do Keller, let's do Carpenter, it's really great. But these are platform people, and platform people, we love them, but our platform people are not developers. So they showed us like, hey, look, we have this Prometheus query you can scale on. I said, oh, wow, let me see it, let me see it. Yeah, look, if there are more visitors, the pod starts scaling. Do you really think that does this? This, what you just gave me, is like if there are more visitors on the website anyway, all pods start scaling. So that might not be the best thing to do. So we came up with some sort of an experiment. We were like, okay, what if we could scale more rapidly during campaigns? I mean, we have a minimum, we have a maximum, and we scale on number of, for example, CPU, and that goes well. But what if we want to go faster? And I don't want to ask all the teams to reset all their application sets in Argo CD. Could we create something like that? And we came up with three types of scalers. First, we used a normal Keller CPU scaler. Then we used some Keller Prometheus type scaler. And then we added a turbo, because anything is better with a turbo. So let's create some central setting, and let's make it a fraction, and we multiply it by our turbo. What can go wrong? Because theoretically, I could set the turbo, and then all those services start scaling at scale and at the same time. Woohoo! Let's see what does. So we devised an experiment. We started to use artillery CLI, just a simple prime number calculation, warm-up rate, find all primes between 0 and 20,000 in a non-optimized way, and then ramp up to 40,000 RPS. And we couldn't get it to work because we forgot load testing 101, never use your own machine. So once we read the book on load testing, we used an actual machine in AWS, and we started to look at some charts. So this is the normal Keller CPU scaler. So you see here the latency. So we're doing more requests, and the latency goes up, and then the system, of course, knows that it should scale out, so it starts to scale out. And then we ramp it really hard, and okay, it goes down to acceptable levels, which is actually really nice. Then we used our Prometheus metric, and our Prometheus metric gave already a nicer way of doing stuff. Let's now use our turbo at it. Yahoo! Of course, this works, because now instead of scaling on 80%, it probably scaled on 65% of the thing. But the really cool thing is I can do this centrally. We're not sure if we're going to use this or not, because of course our teams are autonomous and we still need to convince them of all these sorts of stuff, and maybe it works for one system and not for another. But it has a promise, right? It is nice that you now have this one thing you can play around with. We shouldn't give that one to marketing because I know what they do with it, but we can now do something. So if we look at our charts in Grafana, we see the following. The red zone is the bad zone, in which we should start scaling. And well, of course, you see that each scaler scales up more proactively than the other one. So we think the system might really work for us. So what is our conclusion? Atlas, as we like to call our new platform, I think we can run our e-commerce operation on it way better. Does it solve everything and all things? Of course not. We can solve some stuff centrally, especially with Keda and Carpenter, but we still need to figure out your load testing to actually see what your min and maximum pods are. Probably we're going to switch to some more elastic databases for these types of loads that not only our pods are auto-scaling, but also our databases are auto-scaling. But hey, that's something for another time and another talk. I still have 15 minutes left. I can tell about a lot of things, but we also want to leave some room for questions. So if there are any questions, Koen will answer them all. And that's it. No, sorry. Some people are talking stuff to me I don't understand.
Just ask your question.
Slido, guys. Slido. Slido.
Misschien moet je even vertellen hoe de laatste nieuwscampagnes gaan.
Yeah, go ahead. On? We don't know yet, because we're still in the business of building the platform. I think where the money-saving part comes in is during what we call the golden season. When there's Sinterklaas and Christmas in a month, we don't want to mess with anything. So we scale out for the worst. And then there's this Friday the 13th, no, not Friday the 13th, Black Friday. That's also a big thing. And Cyber Monday. That's also a big thing. So we keep it scaled out. So we believe the cost-saving part is twofold. One, the Kubernetes control plane is way cheaper than our Mesos Marathon control plane, where we have big masters that needs to do all the synchronization and stuff like that. So we know that at least at night we will save half of our operation, the minimum.
And what I think is also important to mention is that obviously we do this to save money, but the first reason is we want to be online. So the downtime that Kees mentioned, if we are offline for an hour, that is costing very serious money, much more than if we stay skilled out for weeks. So the most important reason for us to do this is that we want to be very sure that we stay online, whatever Miljuska tweets about her new dresses coming up.
Yeah.
You have questions there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a bunch of questions, and the first one is, do you use a managed cube?
Yeah, AKS.
Yeah. AWS, so the managed Kubernetes.
AWS, we were already on AWS. Also, we switched for a new environment to managed Kafka. Go at it all the way AWS, yeah.
Okay. We have a bunch of questions, so we still have a bit of time. The next question is, why did you choose Keda over the Prometheus metric server implementation? I would like to know that one.
That's an interesting one. I cannot answer that. I think they are complementary to each other. So what I believe is that we want to use Keda because we also want to scale on Kafka events. So it's more than just Prometheus. The other part is that some of our .NET developers did something really nifty, and they're looking into the actual thread pool and thread pool saturation, and came up with a metric for that, and they're scaling on that. So if you want to support it all, then Keda seemed to be the best thing to use. What happened? Yeah. Well,
let's take the second one, Kees.
No. Why is the website down now? Well, currently, that's why we weren't here at 8:30 in the morning. We did a firewall replacement on premise, and after that firewall replacement, we saw our latency to our back office go like 10-fold higher, and we ran into problems. So we shouldn't be here today on stage, but we should be in the office actually fixing that.
Yeah, I think what is important here is that Wekamp is an old company. I think we are over 70 years old, right?
We are 70 years.
70 years old. We do not have a website for 70 years, but the company exists for a long time. And our technology is, in some places, quite old as well. Meaning that even though we have microsites, microservices, etc. on the front end, there are still some back-end systems that run on legacy systems that only a couple of guys in our company still have all the knowledge of. Some of those systems still run on our on-premise, in our on-premise data center. And when we change a firewall, these kind of systems can be interfered as well if things don't work out as well as they should. So even though we have, I think, a very modern front-end website, we still have work to do to make sure that all of our services in the back end are just as modern. I saw one question coming by of someone asking, why do you not ask the developers to optimize their code, their queries, etc.? It's definitely something that we do. Although I do think that we have reached some sort of a stretch on how optimized we can make that. And then, well, at a certain point in time, you just need to scale out further to make sure that you get the results that you need for the website that we run. Our website runs on approximately 150 services, Kees, right?
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of optimization to do as well if you want to make sure that everything is optimized to be able to support these kind of campaigns. Because basically, I think at least 50% of these services are being requested when a customer buys one of these products.
So another question, why do you scale? Why do you need scaling? Because you still have a CDN in place.
Sorry, come again. Which one is it?
You have a CDN in place. Why is scaling still needed?
Yeah. Well, a CDN is all nice for your JavaScripts and your images and your static content. But whenever a user wants to buy something, that's not really something you can do on the CDN. It's something you could do on the edge with Cloudflare workers or stuff like that, but that's not the application we run. The other thing with the homepage is that we kind of like a personalized homepage. So what we could do is generate all sorts of homepages for everyone and put that on the edge. But that's kind of not what we have. So we could do a lot of things, but at some point you have a website. It is divided into microservices, and then you better scale and scale fast.
Yeah, and I think in some cases the CDN does save us because we have microsites. Not all of the website is down. When Kees showed the 503, doesn't mean that any page in Wekamp wasn't available anymore. It does mean, though, that for the pages, especially those that are personalized and do many backend requests, well, those are in the most heavy storm at those kind of moments.
So, another question. Jeff wants to know why you use Kubernetes and you already have Fargate.
Well, that's the thing. We actually have Fargate. I don't actually know. I think it's because our CI/CD and the way we set things up, it's really easy to ship stuff to Marathon. And when we said, hey, we want to have something new, let's swap only out our container platform. And we tried to move towards Kubernetes, and then we saw, yeah, but we also have these proxies, and these proxies do authentication for us and these gateways, so we need to do some stuff in Istio. And okay, if we're going to do that on Fargate, well, if you calculate all of this together, we said it makes more sense to go Kubernetes. If the whole world actually goes to Kubernetes, then we're okay with that. So I think it's more a choice of convenience and us not wanting to explore all the paths all the way. Because we need to sell a lot of dresses for us to investigate all the paths. Yeah.
Kees, can you maybe also explain, or maybe Koen, on how the new Muska campaigns now work out?
Well,
if we're still in trouble or not?
No, we're not in trouble. But to me, and I'm an engineer, if you ask me, the engineer, we still cannot say to Miljuska, 10 o'clock, this many, that is what we still haven't defeated. We think we can do it, but boy, do we need to be very, very sure if we go that route again. But there's no problem with Miljuska currently, so that's...
They're real technical guys, but if we So everything has always, you have glasses half full or half empty. I'm just glad to say that we can now really sell a lot of music addresses in a campaign, and it's working way better than it used to do. So it's not that bad.
No, it's not bad at all. But then again, as she says,
They sometimes forget that in the end we're selling fashion and living.
the next question. Sorry, what's going on?
I'm choosing which.
Yeah, that's the power you have when you have a mic,
Yeah,
right?
and then there's people trolling. So
We still have 5 minutes of torture left.
we still have 6 minutes. So how did you make sure that the database did not become a bottleneck?
Is that,
They're not laughing at you. The question is, how many dresses did you buy? And which one was your favorite?
No, that's the one
And I
with
know,
the
I
one-
do, Kees, your wife is always buying the dresses.
not going to comment on that today. The question again.
Arjen wants to know where you got that t-shirt.
Oh, the t-shirt. Oh, that's, nee, that's not Weekamp. That's Evert Kwok. Just Evert Kwok, just Google it. They sell t-shirts, they're awesome. We don't sell them at Weekamp yet. Yeah.
Kees, there's also a question on how many architects we have at Weekamp. Maybe you like to answer.
Ooh, not that many.
0.
Not that many.
But we do have pathfinders, so maybe you can explain
We have
how that
people
works.
that do architecture, but we don't have dedicated architects. And if we need them, we can always fly them in, of course. But we believe that if we have a development platform that can actually help our developers to do stuff in microservices, and we kind of constrain our developers a little bit so that they don't go full Lambda, Fargate, and workers and Kubernetes, but focus on microservices, that they get the job done. And when you have all your logging and metrics, if you have your IDP okay, you're good to go. There are not that many things you would need an architect to tell a developer what to do. I mean, they kind of know themselves.
So
Unless they don't,
that
and then they tell
database-
you we need an architect, but then they really need an architect.
That database, how does that database not become a bottleneck?
Yeah, it becomes a bottleneck. Yeah, that's clear. At some point, you cannot handle all the load of the world without something like Aurora or MongoDB that scales really, really well. But the thing is, we have these kinds of campaigns like a few times a year. And I mean, Miljushka, that is just as big as it gets campaign size-wise. I haven't seen something like that. So you cannot use Aurora just that you want to do some campaigns all the same time. It just doesn't make sense for us. Now, we're in the business of acquiring new labels and running that on our same platform. And then we have multiple web shops. Oh, then it gets nice. Then we can use all those shiny new auto-sizing databases. So that will be something in the future because it will become a bottleneck. And then again, I believe caching is your best friend. You should cache as much as you can. Next question, please.
One more. And they're all tied in the voting. So now
There's voting.
there actually is one on top, and it's asking, could you combine schedule-based scaling with dynamic scaling? That's the last one.
Who knows this answer? I have no clue. I hear yes here. You just need a centralized system, and it's really easy. He does it all the time.
You can ask him right after this.
Yeah, after
but
this.
we can actually discuss that tomorrow in the open spaces.
Yeah, no, I have no clue, sorry.
All right. So
Thank you.
I guess that's it. Yeah. Round of applause.